Good morning, YouTube. Welcome back to Wiki Up Knoll. It has been a cold one. I think it's been a cold one for nearly everyone in the US and Canada lately. My goodness, what a winter so far. We've spent the cold time getting some of our shopping done for the next parts of our projects here. We got the lumber that we need for some of the racking in the pole barn. I'll tell you about that. We've also gotten our garage door. We're gonna be putting a garage door on the front of the pole barn, on that section right over here. For some reason, when I was making this building, I did not see it as big enough for a garage door, but it totally is. I'm surprised. So that'll be very easy to manage. So not so easy to put up. I'm not super excited about putting a garage door up. I don't like the spring situation. So we're going to see how that goes. Future project. Today's video, I'll be working on bags mostly. I have finished the final rubble wall, dry stone stack wall on the north side of the pole barn. Again, this is the section where there will be a garage door. And so I've gotten this rubble in. I'm going to start the bags on this after I finish this section of bags here. I've made it up to about knee high on the other three sections, and then this section is about waist high for me. And my goal with this one, I'm hoping to go a little higher on this wall with bags before we start the cob, just because I have the dog door and I want to make it really, you know, tied together with that. But we'll see. It gets a little cumbersome at this height on the bags, on these smaller bags, because of the delivery system I'm using. This long pipe, it's a 4-inch sewer pipe that I'm using to put the dirt in, and it gets a little funky when I get that high. So I'd rather avoid bringing scaffolding and stuff like that into this area. So we'll see how many bags, how much bag material we have left at that point, and how much of a bummer it is to go higher than that. Anyway, I'm looking forward to doing the cob in here with some of the lumber that you saw in the stack. Will be you see we have a center beam in here. We're going to be putting 2 more beams at the same height in there so that we'll have dry and shady storage for our lumber. So if we have future projects, they won't actually be sitting out here in the sun for a couple days while we get to them. And anything left over that we need, we can store up here and it'll be out of the weather. So we're working on adding that. Will also be some of those pieces of lumber will be mounted on the outside of the building. There'll be one here and 2 sets along the back side on the outside of the building. That will house all our ladders on the outside of the back. And this side will house all of our rakes and shovels and stuff that we need to get for the garden or for any kind of work around here. So I'll be working on that. Also in this video, we'll be working on the house a little more. It's been cold, like I said, so we're finally getting back into some work with dirt, which is nice. When it gets too far below freezing, or actually below freezing, you don't want to do any cob or anything like that. It's not below freezing in the day, of course. We're lucky it's sunny and nice, about 45, 50, 60 degrees sometimes. But at night, it's been getting into the 20s, which can mess with your dirt work setting up overnight. So you want a good 24 to 48 hours of dry time with above freezing. So we have started back on bags over here. This is the house site. If you don't remember, watch some previous videos. I have previously put in a larger bag in the very bottom with gravel, so that I have about so there's gravel under it, and gravel in the bag is about 10 inches, 8 to 10 inches of gravel throughout my ditches for a dry drainage foundation to prevent wicking and pooling and anything like that I might have. But I've put in now the first layers of dirt. It's actually AB mix with lime, and that's our first actual wall bag. And you can see probably in here the bags I used for the gravel mixture, the dry stone mixture, they're actually larger bags in diameter, so they make a little wider base for our wall bags. And so you can see that underneath it. And now, as the ditches are much wider than the actual wall thickness. So I was having kind of a hard time, you know, seeing my rooms as I had drawn them out, because they seem smaller, and they are. They were about a foot smaller in dimension because there was a gap here between the walls. So now I'm able to visually see more of what I was thinking of. This is the actual wall thickness. I've backfilled up to the bag with leftover AB mix and rock and dirt mixture to pack it in as I go up, so I don't have so much work to do once I get the ditches filled in. So I've got that bag laid. I've got this one laid, which goes all the way from east all the way through to the west wall. This is the very center wall. There's a the south wall, this is the middle, and then there's a north wall that goes all the way across. So I've got these east to west walls in on the front of the house. Today's video, I'm hoping to get in this little bag over here, this one here, this one here, and that one over there. And I may do this little section as well. So we'll see. That's my goal today. On this, my goal will be working on that pole barn with the things I told you about there. So we got a lot going on. Even though it was cold and we lost some ground on cob work, we got a lot of other stuff going on, and hopefully you enjoy this update. And I'm sure enjoying the updates myself. I like seeing what we've gotten done each week on actual camera. Sometimes you forget when you're going through the motions. So we'll get to it in a few minutes. You'll see us working on some bags either at the pole barn or at the house, and we'll catch back up in a little bit. All right, we are getting ready to take a lunch break. John is over here working while I was doing bag work. He's doing the 2x4s on the exterior of the south wall of the pole barn, and there's going to be 2 parallel 2x4s here, and they'll support some wooden brackets that we're going to make to hold our longer ladder, and then there'll be another set probably about down here, about waist level, to hold our folding ladders. So all they'll be off the ground and stored away and in the out of the way. And then we can, since these will be up here when we do our this is just a temporary to hold this up while he's screwing everything in, but then we'll be able to cob, between and around all the wood, so the wood will still be exposed beyond the cob plaster and the lime plaster that goes on the outside of the building. So that part's looking good. We're getting ready to come have a break for lunch and walk the dogs and do all that stuff, and then we'll be back probably working on some big house bags in the next part of the video. The walls are coming along well. I had to finish the bag I had loaded on here, and you can see I have a void I'm filling here where it swooped down after my cleat, and then I need to start the bags the next session in here. I need to start the bags on this rubble wall that I did on the final wall that will be cobbed. So I did have a problem on this, not a problem, it's a recurring thing. I'm using, essentially, I think you can see it's getting some clogs in it. I'm using a fairly wet mix, which I tend to prefer on this, but it does want to get clogged because it's sticky. So I think definitely my feedback on the smaller bags is they're very sturdy. They're doing the trick. It's going to make a great base for my cob wall, but I probably won't buy them again, because just putting the mixture in tight enough to really, compact it well is kind of tricky with this, with how narrow they are. The other bags we use are much wider. You can throw a bunch of material in the bucket and it's easy. So I probably wouldn't order that again, but I'm using what I've got and I like that. a whole lot. So enough of that. We'll go ahead and get our break for our lunch, and we'll be back with you after that and show you what we're getting into then. All right, we are back at the house site. John is doing his first mix. We did change up the way we're doing the mix. We set up a new station here because we used up the batch that we had over there. We're getting ready to have a rock delivery come in, so we wanted to clear space. So we set up over here with our biggest, newest pile of AB. We're gonna be working on, he's got his lime and his barrel here. We started off the mix a little different now. We started by spraying the mixer a little bit of water in there to start, just to coat it. And then we put some hydrated lime in there. And then we put in 1 shovelful at a time of the dry mix here. And we found it kind of ends up coating the stuff better. We don't get as many clumps with the lime. If we can like almost hydrate the lime a little more inside the barrel before we add our dry mix. So that's what we're working on there. And last time we did these other bags over here, I didn't end up with hardly any clumps of lime. What happens is it wants to wad up in the wheelbarrow or in the mixer barrel, and then it wants to make balls around the lime immediately. So that helps it to kind of break it apart and get it more evenly coated. And they've been very consistent, and I really like that mix. So we did change that from the last setup that we had. I'm gonna be over here working our normal, I was gonna say one other thing, our normal bucket system, it's actually over there, it blew over. The blue buckets have a bigger rim on them, and for some reason, one of these rolls is my older roll, which we didn't use for probably the last year, and it was sitting outside, which if you're doing this, that might not be a great idea. And I just didn't think of it. But I had it partially covered at some points. But anyway, some of the roll was unrolled like this, and it had crinkled. And I think when I got that first bag and put it on the bucket system, it was very hard to load the bag. So I realized that my bags had shrunk or something had happened. But I changed up my bucket system a little bit as well. I found I think you can see it through here. Well, maybe in here you can see it better. There's a red bucket on the bottom. It's from Harbor Freight. This is the Lowe's bucket. The Lowe's bucket has a bigger like lip right here, and the Harbor Freight one is a smaller lip. And just that little less tension on the bag was helping me to load it better since the bags were a little older. So that helps me. And then there's my tension strap for putting the dirt in. But I don't know if anybody else has had that problem. If you have, let me know. I'm going to be keeping my bags under cover when not in use from now on, because I think they were kind of squishing up in the sun, which makes sense. So I'm going to get started over here. I'm going to be doing our first row of bags right here on this side. And John will be over there mixing. He's mixing now. And we'll just show you this on a quick time lapse, because that's my favorite way to do things. Makes it look like we went so fast. We can show more in a video, right? Anyway, we'll be doing that. And then we'll cut back in a little bit to see what's going on. Okay, we are back. This is the pile of rocks that we ordered. It came during the time lapse. I'm sure you noticed. We're going to be using this as to support the footers for the greenhouse hole that you've seen in previous videos. We have actually we get to take part in a work day where people are going to come here. We're hosting a county work day here, and we're going to have some help with that. So I'll be moving that pile a little closer into the garden a little bit later. But we got this bag done. I don't know if you noticed in this video or in this time lapse, in this particular ditch, I'm correcting an issue. You can see it from here. I'm sure you can see it's wavy. When I was preparing this ditch, this part of the ditch has a rock in it. It's rock right there. And so this part didn't have a rock and it chipped out. So that this ditch wasn't exactly straight. And I followed the edge of the ditch with the gravel bag as well as this bag. And there's also gravel all around. So there's gravel wall to wall, 10 inches deep underneath this bag. So what I'm trying to do here, when I do the wall, as it goes up, it's not going to have a curve in it. I don't want a curve right there in my wall. This needs to be a straight wall. So I want for my wall to actually start about here and just go straight to that corner without a curve. So to work that out, we're mixing an extra batch and we're using scrap pieces of bag because I have a terrible habit of overshooting my measurement when I put the bags on the bucket system down there. It's my worst habit ever, but it saves me in this case because we can use the extra pieces of bag to make small bags to just basically fill this void. You can see the gravel that's packed in here. It's also packed into the underneath bag. And then we're just going to fill this void with another bag and then do another small bag in that void and then pack loose AB mix in the gap like we did the other, because this will essentially still be our below grade foundation layer of the first wall bag. So I just want to fill it. I could probably just work it out and put loose AB in there, but it's easier to pack it when it's in a bag form like that. So that's what we're doing. We'll get this part done, probably 2 more mixes, and then we're gonna call it a day for this ditch and then move on to the other 3 ditches for the rest of this video. All right, we're back. We finished 2 more mixes. He's doing another one now because we're starting the next row of bags. This one is ready. It's way more space than I needed to do, but I just wanted to make sure that it was a wide space for me to lay the next bag. The next bag will be basically from here, and it'll just go straight and cut off. It'll just overlap a couple of inches onto these other 2 bags. So, and then it'll all be backfilled on top of that. So that was the correction we made. That is wet AB mix. That's the same as what's in the bag, but we opted not to use a bag for that section because it was so narrow and there's rock here. So we couldn't, the bag would have essentially just gotten in the way for that. So less bag material, more solid material in that section. So we're going to do this next bag now. This one doesn't have that issue. The bank started to go away, but I was able to it pretty much stay. The outside of the wall that I'm using is fine. This one sloughed in at some point and we had dug that out, and now we're using that material to backfill. So we're going to do this one next. Hope you're enjoying it so far. It's a little bit of an odd fix, but got to do what you got to do, and we'll catch you in a few minutes. Okay, we're back. I'm walking these guys. They get to take it like they're very excited because they're coming over to the house site. I thought I'd show you what we finished on the last time lapse. We did the second bag of the day. I'm calling it 2.5 bags because of that fix on the first one. But I wanted to show you the last of it. Come on, puppies. Finley is very excited about that pile. Every now and then he finds a mouse in there. So that's exciting. But this is the finished bag for the day. We were wanting to do all 4 ditches, but you know what? Time got away, and that's how it goes sometimes. So we've got the entire pantry. This is the pantry room. It is completely squared up for the next wall layer. So we're 1 bag high above the gravel, which is very exciting to me. So this one came out. I'll get down here and show you. This one's a lot straighter, which I think you saw in the last time lapse. So we didn't have to do any corrections there. And then we had an extra mix of AB there, so we just filled in the gap. So now I can again see the real dimension of the room, because this wall is the real thickness of the wall, if that makes sense. So yeah, Finley is digging. He's ready to go. John's working on putting lumber up over there, finishing up a couple things on the pole barn. We got some of the lumber on the back side ready for the ladder holders. And then all the little baby puppy dogs over there are also saying hello at the fence. So we're gonna keep walking. Everybody's gonna get their evening stuff going. Come on, Finley, let's go, let's go. Oh, go. So we're gonna go up here, take our walk. There's the fresh gravel. Oh, they gotta see that. They gotta see the fresh gravel. Gotta sniff it. Where's it been? Where's it been? It's a fresh gravel. So anyway, we'll be working on this gravel, like I said, moving it over to the greenhouse hole for a work day coming soon. So you'll see that on a future video perhaps. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you liked it, and subscribe if you haven't already, and share it with your friends. And we're gonna close it out. I'm tired, it's been a long day. And the pups are walking, and that's what we're doing. So I hope you're having a good one. Hope you liked the video. I will catch you back here on Sunday for the next update from Wickiup Knoll.